Evening, everybody. Welcome along to the Rangers Rabble match day build-up between Napoli and Rangers. And my name is Brian, and I'm joined tonight by Mark and Lee. How you doing, boys?
All good, mate.
Not too bad, mate. How's yourself?
Not bad. I suppose we'll go straight into the team lineup. The team lineup tonight is McGregor in goals with, I'm not quite sure if it's a 5 or a 4 yet. Tavernier, King, Davies, Ridvan with Sands there. Lundstrom, Tillman, Wright, Kent, and Morelos. And the bench tonight is McLaughlin, McCrory, Barisic, Devine, Allen, Davis, Arfield, Lowry, Cholak, Matondo, and Fashion. Mark, first thoughts on the lineup?
My first thoughts are I'm quite happy with the lineup, to be fair. I think that for once this season, we look as if we've got legs in our side. It looks as if we've got some pace. Couple of wee interesting ones. I suppose Morelos would be the kind of interesting one. But do you know what? I think that's a half decent side. I really do. I'm quite happy with that. I'm sure we'll get into it in a bit more depth.
Yeah. Lee, your first thoughts?
The exact same, mate. Surprised at the team. Just with Gio, I didn't really think he would make that many changes. Can't decide whether it shows he's focusing on the league more. But I'm quite positive about that team for what it is. I'm quite glad to see Sands play a centre defensive mid, because I think he's one of those players who, if we're going to spend the money on him, we need to see him in his natural position. So I'm kind of glad to see that.
Nicholas Moore, the South Wales Loyal. How you doing, boys? I'm kind of on the same lines as Curry Muncher tonight. Sitting on the toilet, and he's not going to be moving until the final whistle. I think, Mark, we're all sort of what's the words I'm looking for? A bit of trepidation about this match, isn't there? But there is a slight positive in the sense that none of their sort of main big hitter, well, two at least of their main big hitters are on the bench. They're not starting, so they're giving us a little chance at least.
I think that we're all probably feeling the same way. I think we're expecting the worst and hoping for the best. I think the term to put it in it. It's I don't know. I think it might be a very, very long night, and you seen what happened when Liverpool pulled a few of their big hitters off the bench. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
No. Now this is one I'll ask you, Lee. Chris is saying 8-1-1. I mean, that's, yeah, we kind of know where that's going. But as far as the formation is concerned, it's difficult to tell if this is a back four or a back five. Now, we have two natural centre halves in there. We have Sands, who's also played centre half. If it was your gut instinct looking at that, would you say we're going with a 4 or a back 5?
See, to me, I think it can only be a 4, because if you're looking at the midfield, you have Sands, Lundstrom, and Tillman. If you're talking 5 and you're dropping Sands back, then you're asking one of Wright, Kent, Morelos to be in the midfield. Which to me, so that obviously that's not going to happen. So for me, I think he's set up with 4 at the back, 2 centre defensive midfielders. Tillman is the attacking option with the 2 wingers. So it looks like he's going to try and play counter.
Is he going to play, Mark, with Sands playing the role that we've seen Lundstrom play, where he's playing midfield, but he's asked to drop back if required into centre half?
I think the two of them will be playing that role. I think that's exactly what he's done. I think that the two of them have been brought in there for a bit of running power and pace and a bit of aggression, because I think that's what we've lacked seriously. So for me, I think that the two of them will do that job, because I think we'll probably be spending a lot of time defending. But I'm happy with that. As I said before, we've had, for me, where midfield's looked quite powder puff. It's not looked as if we've got a tackle in us, really. And I think that Lundstrom has probably been hung out to dry a wee bit, because I think he's been trying to do the work of 2 men in the middle of the park, and he's been kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. So I think it's made his performances worse. I'm hoping that tonight, with somebody that's going to give him a hand, basically, is he's going to look a lot better.
I'll ask both of you, but I'll come to obviously Lee first. What do you make of this man's inclusion into the starting lineup, Ridvan Yilmaz?
Mate, I'm buzzing. I've been advocating for this boy to get a game for God knows how long. Would it be lying if I told you I'd be surprised it was this game that he started? I thought this would be the one where he probably would go with the tried and tested. Barisic, I think it's the right decision. I think in terms of one of the most biggest criticisms we have of Barisic is he's too, you don't want to say shite bag, but he backs out of things like that. Whereas I feel Yilmaz will go in for these tackles, especially in an atmosphere like the Maradona Stadium. The atmosphere is going to be as hostile as it can get. So I feel that would have been a worry for me in terms of Barisic. It's just we do know that he can shirk away for these things and his confidence goes low. So I'm happy. I've always wanted Yilmaz to get a game anyway. Like I'm saying, surprised it's this one, but I do think it is the right decision.
How are you feeling about Yilmaz's inclusion, Mark?
Yeah, I'll just on Denzel's point there. I think Denzel's got it bang on because I think that by putting Sands and Lundstrom in there, you are going to get more discipline. Absolutely. So I agree 100% with Denzel. On Yilmaz, I think the wee man's got something about him. I know we've not seen a lot of him, but I think purely on pace and enthusiasm, the night he gets an odd over Barisic. Barisic is a great crosser of the ball, but this whole side has got pace throughout it. Some of them are scary fast, and I think that's why he's been put in. That and the fact that European sides don't tend to lob long balls or long diagonals. So I think that for me is an ideal time to put him in because he's not going to deal with high balls, but he is going to be dealing with pace. So for me, I think it hopefully could very well be a masterstroke, but as I said, we might not be saying that in 90 to 100 minutes time. You know what I mean? So,
a quick mention today, the Rangers young team were obviously playing Napoli away and they managed to get a 3-2 win. Now, Lee, don't know about you, but that seems a fairly great result for me away in Italy. A lot of the young teams in Italy are obviously very good because the Italians aren't very shy at playing youngsters in their first teams. So I was quite pleasantly surprised that they went over and got the victory.
See, my biggest worry for that, mate, is all we've done is annoy them, beating a young team for the night, and they're just going to. That's why I was surprised at the team. Thought it would have seemed like they'd beat their youth and just go all out. No, mate, commendable to the young lads because they were 2-0 up and they conceded 2 very quick goals at the end of the first half. Mate, most teams under that would crumble, especially the youth team. Like they're still trying to get into that swing. Fair play to them. Brilliant result over there. Again, a strike partnership, mate. That Robbie and Buddy Lovelace up front. I think are 2 brilliant players, mate. Yeah. I think we've got some really good players coming through that academy, and just hoping that we get to see them more in the first team this season. Whether it be like the early rounds of the Scottish Cup or whatever like that. I think there's a few boys in that team that deserve their chance. Robbie's obviously already had a chance against Queen of the South and got a goal. So these boys can step up. So it'll be good to hopefully see them in the future.
Absolutely. And I mean, Mark, as Lee's just saying, it's nice that a lot of these young players are performing in Europe because it's obviously a difficult step up playing a lowland league football to then suddenly playing the cream of Europe in the youth sort of Champions League. It's a commendable result. That
it's massive. It's absolutely massive, and it's it just shows you how well the youth section our club's doing. I mean, the academy's been. They've piled money into it, and which is absolutely fantastic, and it's something that I think that for us to be sustainable, moving forward, then that's going to need to be the case. That's going to be our bread and butter moving forward, and it looks as if there's some really smashing players in that youth setup that's hopefully going to burst through onto the scene fairly soon. Good to see as well. There's a lot of youth in the bench as well. I said, let's face it. Let's be realistic here. I know we're wanting to put our best foot forward and stuff, but this is pretty much a free hit. I mean, we've said it before. So this for me is going out there, play without fear, and show that you're good on this stage, and great learning for all the young guys that are in this side as well. So for me, I like the fact that there's a lot of youth, and even in our first team as well, it's no dad's army. So look, you just need to go out and do your best. Simple as that, and hopefully we can maybe nick something here or there. But as I said, youth wise, I think that go back to the young boys game today. Look, they're rubbing shoulders with the cream of Europe, and they're not getting found out. Do you know what I mean? They're more than capable of holding their own. So I think it's the Lowland League's been a great learning process for some of these young boys. It looks as if some of them are kicking on to become proper young men as well as proper professional footballers and growing in stature in the game. So for me, it's massively positive, absolutely massively positive.
Yeah, totally agree. Now, there was a couple of things I was wanting to mention before we go on. Obviously, there was news today that Scott from Club 22, he lost his sister today. I think everybody on behalf of the rabble would like to send our condolences to him and his family through this sad time. Very difficult time for him. So we're all thinking of you, Scott. So, best wishes to everybody in your family. And secondly, Lee, the announcement from the club today that they're going to be doing a statue of Walter Smith, who passed away a year today. It's I was quite sort of taken aback. It's already been a year. I think all fans have been sort of mentioning this, asking for this, and they do it on the sort of anniversary of his first anniversary. So another nice, well overdue memorial.
That's what it was for me, mate. I thought it was well overdue. But even in that sense, when I seen the post come up today about it being a year, I couldn't believe it, mate. I can't believe it's been a year since that happened already. Time absolutely flies. We've gave the board stick quite a lot the last couple of months, and obviously justifiably so, but they've got this spot on. I'd like to even see them go further. I think we could never stand after him or have something in the new Edmiston House that's dedicated to him. Just the best manager we've ever had, mate, for me. Obviously, that was my time growing up. You get a few that, you could, rival him, but it's Walter Smith, mate. He's the best Rangers manager of my lifetime. So it's really nice to see that we've commandeered to get a statue built for him, and hopefully we do go further with it and never stand after him.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, as I say, I was quite sort of taken aback when I first seen it on the on the socials that it was already a year. Time flies by, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's when I seen it as well, I was a bit shocked because it really does seem like that. It still seems quite fresh in memory. But for me, he should have had a statue a long time ago. As far as I'm concerned, he should have been able to see it unveiled or unveiled it himself. But yeah, long overdue as far as I'm concerned, and nice touch from the board as well. So as I said, I know we've give them a lot of stick, me more than most probably, but no, nice touch, nice to do it in the year's anniversary as well. So no, I totally commend the club. I think that's it's definitely the way to do it. Well done.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, we're going back to the game tonight. I think one of the big talking points, Lee, is who's starting up front now. He's plumped for Alfredo Morelos again. What was your initial thoughts when you seen Alfredo starting up front?
If I wasn't as surprised as I thought I'd be, I think in Europe, I don't think Morelos or Cholak have done anything, mate. Cholak, except for obviously, giving us PSV. But in the group stages, we've not really made a dent, mate, in the defences than anything we've played. So it was kind of 6 and a half a dozen who you were really picking here. You might be looking at it long term. Morelos needs fitness, so he starts him in a game like this. But then you go to the other side of it. If he needs fitness and how he has been playing, he doesn't deserve to start over Cholak, who has been banging for him. So I wasn't really that surprised by it. I think you could have picked either one of them, and you probably maybe get a similar performance tonight from them, because it is going to be tough, mate. It is going to be 10 men behind the ball for most of it. So it really was just Gio deciding who he really wants to go with in that sense.
Yeah. Now, Mark, this is a question that I was humming and haying about tonight, and I'm kind of in the same boat, or along the same thought process as CGM. Are we better off out of Europe altogether like them, so we can concentrate in the league? I'm not so sure our squad is strong enough to cover both. I would imagine he's meaning rather than either. Are we? I mean, I'm looking at league table. It's 9-12-3-0. I mean, it's going to take a minor miracle for us to even remain in Europe this year. So I don't think we've much to worry about as far as staying in Europe, have we?
No, I don't think so. It's a very much a heart versus head one. This, isn't it? It's one of those questions that you toil with yourself over, and you could second guess yourself every decision. Oh no, that wasn't right. So I think that for me, my heart says Europe is nice. We like the glamour. We like the nights under the lights. We like the big atmospheres. But bottom line is, we're bread and butter as this league, and we need to win this back. Will we? Might be another question for another day. But I think that it's been nice to be in Europe. It's not been as much fun as I would have liked it to be, but I think we're better off out it. I really do. I think that we need to concentrate in the league, which seems to be that's going to be the case unless something crazy happens. But look, hey, football is crazy. We've seen strange things happen all the time. So we've even been involved in some strange things. So never say never. But as I said, for me, our bread and butter is we need to build. So we need to win this league. We need to build on it. We need to get back into the Champions League, and we need to bring in quality. It's going to be a big rebuilding job over the summer, I think. So, but bread and butter is win the league. So we need to get in that. We need to win that league, and by winning that, we're in a good place for the Champions League. So league for me.
Just to confirm, CGM said either. I meant either. I don't think our squad is strong enough to stay in Europe or win the league. So
probably no. I'm not far away from agreeing there.
Yeah, I mean, I dare say if the squad was fully fit, as in everybody wasn't injured, it'd be a different story. But I'm afraid with the way the situation is just now, Lee, it's going to be a hard task, isn't it?
Sorry, mate. We've actually been so unlucky with injuries this season. You could have talked about half of the people who have been out and make our first team squad. You look at Roof, fair enough, he's hardly ever. But you look at Hadji, Helander, all these people, even Ryan Jack now. When they're back, it makes the team so much stronger. That comment, it's with Europe, it's a distraction. It just depends on how you look at that distraction. There's some people, for the fans, if you're in it after Christmas, you get an away day in February. The run to the final last season for a lot of people was made better for the fact they could travel all over Europe. I agree fully. Bread and butter is the league. So, in that sense of it, we do need to focus priority on the league, because this European campaign has been a disaster. We're not going to get Europa League. We're not going to get it. That's just the way it is. They need to be kind of realistic about it. As much as you want to hope we get a point tonight, then beat Ajax on the last day. But it's been tough. We have played with a hands tied behind our back at some points, and that is because of injuries. But it doesn't also help the fact that we have been just poor in general as a team. So I think now it's just about getting back to the league. It's not even focus on the league, because the league's been absolutely brutal to watch. I know. So it's get back to the league, and ideally for me, get a new manager in and start attacking football. But if it's going to be Gio, then get behind them and just hopefully we see improvement in performances.
I'm just seeing BT's coverage there, and they've got it down as a 4-2-3-1 mark now. I don't know if that's just assuming just because of the lineup. It's a brave lineup to go to Napoli away, isn't it?
Well, as it is, obviously that can that formation can change quite a bit as well with your two wider players dropping back as well. So that's something that should be happening anyway. So don't get me wrong, Wright's got the legs to get back there, and Kent, when he feels like it, can do that as well. We've seen him doing it in the past. So as I said, I think that's probably our best formation, and if it works and everybody sticks to their positions, and then yeah, it should be okay. As I said, you need your wide players to track back and track runners. Simple as that. You can't leave your two centre midfielders isolated. So yeah, I would think for me that's what it looks like. For me, that is the best formation with that personnel for me. Definitely.
Just to quickly go through the Napoli lineup, sorry. The goalkeeper is Merritt. I think he's the Belgian. Is he Belgian? Rui, Kim, Ostigard, De Lorenzo, Ndombele, Lobotka, Elmas, Raspadori, Simoni, and Politano. So obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we've not got Oshiman or Kvaratskhelia, I think his name is pronounced. And the other player was Zielinski. I think he gave us a fair bit of grief in Glasgow, and Hervin Lozano. So they've obviously got a lot of big hitters on the bench. They're obviously hoping that this lineup they put out tonight is going to take care of business so they don't have to put on the big players, Mark. You know, are they just giving us a wee chance, are they?
I don't even think that's that. I think they're resting players, to be perfectly honest. Let's call a spade a spade. That's what they're doing. They think that obviously they've got enough that they can get past us with ease. So do you know what? Let's hope that that's not the case. Let's hope that we get right into them. I mean, we've been crying out for it for best part of a month and a half now. A bit of desire and a bit of aggression. So I think that you will get that from Sands and Lundstrom in the middle of the park.
Yeah, I wish I was ordering pasta. there was a lot of vowels in there, wasn't there? So Lee, it's our form's obviously not very good. Napoli, if I read rightly, they are going for 13 games in a row in the Serie A this weekend. It's obviously going to be extremely difficult. I don't think anybody's under any illusions that it's not. I noticed somebody in the comments said we're 11-1 to get a result tonight. Are you fancying that we 11-1, or are you just ignoring that?
I think I was more confident until you read out those stats, mate. It's ominous, isn't it? Pretty sure I read it. They're the most informed team in Europe. That says it all. I agree with the point. I think they're just resting players, mate. I think they saw an opportunity in their own league to kind of pull away a wee bit because the teams behind them they're faltering a bit. They just keep going. They're just so I think they've just kind of looked at us, mate, and just like the form that we have been, and just went, we can afford to rest these players and probably still come with a result. When you look at Liverpool done, came to Ibrox, then the set they brought them on, they just ran away with it. They were already winning before that happened. You could see that again tonight. What I will say positive wise, I think the team is more suited to dealing with it this time. I feel like there is a lot more players in the team who are going to have a bit more desire, going to show a bit more determination for this game. Some people who are playing, state the claim of the team. You're asking Sands now to fill in at centre defensive mid, where, like I was saying before, that's his main position. So he's going to be trying to nail down a starting place next to Lundstrom. Yilmaz is the same. Probably Morelos hopefully has got a point to prove. Same with Scott Wright. So it is, mate. It's all boys that out with the result have got their own personal, agendas, and that can only hold us in good stead compared to the last game where it looked like some people just absolutely chucked it. So I'm still looking forward to tonight, even if I'm nervous of how much it's going to be. But who knows, mate? Stranger things have happened in football. I'm
going to show you this question just as I'm just throwing it out there, playing devil's advocate. Sorry. If it's 3 or 4 again, is he gonna get the bullet? Basically, I don't think so. I think he's got. I think if 4 points becomes worse before the World Cup, I think that might be the nail in the coffin. But as far as the European campaign's concerned, I think they're just taking the free hitters and they'll get the money and run. Is that fair enough, Mark?
Yeah, that's just it's just free money. That's what the board are looking at the moment, isn't it? It's just free money. Simple as that. I think that this board are not going to do any sort of a knee-jerk reaction. And I think that his job is okay until the league form. I think that the league form has started to slip. So I think that that's when he's going to go. If he gets a bad result at the weekend and then moving forward in SPFL, then that's when he'll go. I don't think he's going to go tonight. I think that this and the Ajax game are both free hits. I think they're just taking the free money and they're looking at do what you can, but this isn't really going to be the be all and end all.
Ross is loving you nightly. Makes a change.
I'm going to say, mate, it's nice to have him on my side.
He's fairly changed his tune, hasn't he? I'm just trying to find a couple of comments that I was looking at there. And I'm trying to find them. Here's one that I've seen. What's the halftime score prediction? Just for a bit of fun there, just to find the other comments. Any takers?
Do you know what, mate? Same as Liverpool, we'll be drawing at half time, right? We'll come back on here at half time and Mark will be positive about everything, and then we'll see what happens second half. That's what I'll say.
Mark?
I'm saying 2-0 down at half time. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I'd like to lie, but I'm just being honest. 2-0 down at half time.
Excuse me. No chance Champions League will decide his future. The next 3 domestic games will decide if he loses any points. I think that's what I was saying, wasn't it? Yeah.
100% agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, the European aspect doesn't really come into it. I think if he goes further behind more than 4 points, I think that's when the nail will be in the coffin, Lee, won't it?
Mate, I don't see them sacking him for the very least the World Cup, regardless of results and the thingy. They might be working behind the scenes on a new manager by that point if he does drop more points. But I just, mate, honestly, I just don't see this board reacting quick enough to it.
Is that a fair enough shout?
It's no, mate. If he drops any more points, it should be gone to now. If he drops any more points, it's untenable. But it's just you don't see this board, mate, having the balls to do it. Like honestly, like Park, like if it's Park's decision, what does Gio need to do? Does he need to go buy a motor for Sinch to start, the rivalry back up, and then he'll get him out? He's no getting rid of him. So we just need to, accept it until at least the World Cup, I'd probably say.
I mean, that is a fair point, Mark.
See, just in that, I think that see if this board have not been looking, discussing, and talking about new managers or a possibility of replacing a manager, then they're severely negligent, because it's their job to preempt, it's their job to look at what happens in the future. No wait and then react. So if they have not had this discussion, because look, a blind man standing in a bus stop 100 feet away can see what's happening here. So even if Gio picks up and all of a sudden goes on an amazing run, and this team start battering teams left, right, and centre, they should still. It's their duty. They've got a duty of care to the club and our fans, that they should actively be looking for a manager as we speak. Whether it's just sounding somebody out, whether it's seeing who's available out there. So see if they're not doing that, then this board need a serious shake. I mean, for me, the board need to go if they are not doing that, because that's gross negligence as far as I'm concerned, because it is their job to do stuff like that. Whether it's hush-hush or behind the scenes, it's got to be started. It's got to have been started a month ago at least, if not even before that. As I said, if it's not, then that would blow my mind, absolutely.
Yeah. I was just going to bring that up. Where is it? I've got 5, so I'm not as negative as Ross.
I've got 5 as well.
I kind of thought 2 or 3 in each half. 2 in the first, 3 in the second, or vice versa. That'll do me.
I think I've went with 4. I think our game was a wee bit.
It's probably the first time in the Super 6 that I've actually had Rangers to get beat so heavy. I've had them to get beat by the odd goal, but not by as many.
It's the first time I've picked it. I've tried to be confident every time when it was a draw or like a 2-1. This time I've actually took us to get beat. So who knows? Who knows, mate? We might be what's actually needed for us to get a result.
So I suppose when we look at the bench, then there is some positive news. Mark, young Lowry's back in the scene. He's on the bench.
Yes.
So we've got to at least take some positive out of this fixture that young Lowry's back and he's obviously fit and ready to go.
Yes. That for me is a massive, massive positive. And I would like to see him come on for Tillman at some point tonight. I hope that Tillman does really, really well tonight. And this is when he kind of introduces himself to the European scene. But realistically, that's probably not going to happen. I think that realistically he'll be feeding the scraps, him and Morelos all night. So when it goes up there, it needs to stick. But I would love to see Lowry come on and just show some of his swagger in the Champions League stage against Napoli. That's, for me, that's something that, as a young boy as well, I mean, how good would that be? A young boy Rangers fan coming on Maradona Stadium. Do you know what I mean? It's written in the stars. That's something that you will never ever forget the rest of your life. And I think he's got that kind of swagger and that gallousness that he will go up. He'll enjoy it and he'll take it on board and he'll not be overawed at all with it. So I'm hoping he gets a wee bit of time, a wee bit of cameo. Then I would be really, really happy for the boy.
Yeah, I mean, after his bad injury, Lee, it's nice to see him, no messing around, getting straight back into the squad.
Aye, it's good to see, mate. If that injury hadn't happened, he's probably a mainstay of our first team already. He's the kind of player that, especially in home games, you're looking at Tillman and him and a midfield three together because we only need one sitting defensive mids in these kind of games. So that's like the kind of like partnerships that you're hoping to see. It's good, mate. It's good. Not just him. Obviously, you look at King. You look at the boys on the bench. Divine. Connor Allen. Is it on the bench? I've seen some of his goals for the youth team, mate. He's got some shot on him. It's great, mate. If that's one benefit of this, it's showing, like we've spoken about before, there is a pathway to the team for the youth because, like Mark was saying earlier as well, these are the boys that we're going to be relying on in the years to come. That more or less we're going to sell on for good profit to keep the kind of model going. And no way we're going to get that up and running as if they're in the team. And these boys are more than capable. I've seen some people like, especially with King today, I was arguing that we're just this is the worst game for him to get put in. This is going to dent his confidence. I would argue against it in the sense there's a lot of games in the Premier League as well, especially at home, where he's going to have to do minimum defending. It's just the way that things are at Ibrox for us. We're mostly possession based. These are the kind of games where he is going to get tested defensively, and he's going to get better from that. It might be a hiding to nothing in these, and it could. We have a duty to look after these boys, but at the same time, these are the kind of games that he's going to learn in. Like these are the ones that are up against the best players in the world. You're only going to improve playing against them. So, and I think he's going to handle it well. I think the game against Liverpool at home was kind of a blip because the whole team played shocking, mate. We just collapsed. That wasn't Leon King that just collapsed. It was the whole team. So, looking forward to it, mate. I think the young boys will be good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark, it's obviously going to be one of the first times for a long time that we've not had away fans at a game. Obviously, I'm not quite sure they'd make any difference tonight, but just not seeing a sea of red, white, and blue in the stands is going to be a bit weird, isn't it?
It's going to be strange, yeah. But do you know what? I would rather we're fans safe than be over there because the fans are horrendous, absolutely horrendous. It's not a nice place to go at all. So, obviously through circumstances, it's kind of been a wee bit tit for tat. We've never had their fans over. So, but do you know what? I think that our boys. I know that our fans are a massive, massive boost, but with a lot of these, I'm saying a lot of them. There's actually not a lot of them playing that played through COVID, is there? But it's just one of these things. We just need to pull up our socks and just get on with it and do the best we can. nothing, as I said. But for me, I'm happy that all our fans are going to be safe. It's the bottom line for me. I'd rather see fans safe and maybe sitting at home and enjoying the game rather than getting chased about with crazy Italians with knives. Do you know what I mean? So it is what it is.
I think Nicholas has hit the nail on the head, Lee. Hold on, just jumped. It's not exactly the safest of places for fans to go, as it's been well publicised. So maybe just a good thing that there wasn't a match allocation. The majority of us aren't there.
It's a shame. It is a shame for the fans because I mean it's a lovely city to go to. I've been myself before once. It is really nice. But I think when the team came out and they were talking about how they spoke with Liverpool board and the Ajax board, and they were pretty much just saying themselves like, listen, there's no point in you going over because your fans will get attacked. I think it was over with the Ajax game. There was a few boys that you saw photos on Twitter, and it was just kept like people getting stabbed. It's not worth it, mate. See, especially on the kind of form we're in now, and we're going to get battered off the pitch. What's the point getting battered off it as well?
Yeah.
Just mate, stay at home, or if you're over there, go to like the cities surrounding it, like Rome and shit, and just enjoy yourself. Because I mean, all Italy's nice, mate. So you're still going to have a good time wherever you're.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is the time, the crunch time. I'm going to ask everybody in the comments to give us their predictions. As positive or as wildly heavily defeated as you really want to go, fire them in, and we'll bring up some of them and speak about them. But I've went for a 5-0 loss for Rangers. As I say, I'm really fearing for tonight, as I say. But I'm starting to wish now I maybe didn't go as heavy because obviously their team lineup is not as stacked as I thought it would be, Mark. But I still think we'll get I mean, the thing is, the home leg, we were actually not like out of it until the red card, were we?
No, 100% agree with that. Yeah, but I don't know. I just think that we've not progressed at all. We've regressed since the home leg. So I don't know. Do you know what as well? But with this squad is a wee bit of an unknown as well. So I don't want to say it's the last throw of the dice as such, but do you know what? It's actually been a wee bit refreshing. I think it's took us back a wee bit, took us aback a wee bit. Sorry, but as the closer I get to the game and when I look at the team, I'm thinking similar to yourself. I've maybe been a wee bit too harsh. I've maybe been letting my anger pick my score rather than thinking about it. But still, I can't see as a hope more than believe that we're going to get something here. So I did say 5-0 in my Super Six, but looking at the squad and looking at their squad as well, I think we'll get a goal. So I'm going to say 3-1.
Okay. You're not going to be as harsh as Lee then, no? Lee Kirby. 11-0.
No, Lee's like
I was going to say
a whole different stratosphere into his season.
Random Madness 5-0 Napoli. It seems to be a very popular one, that. 3-2. That's obviously for Rangers, I would assume. It's an interesting one. Aaron is suggesting 0-0 at half time, but then 3-0 to Napoli full time. So that's actually not out with the realms, but I mean, it all depends on how we start. And we've not really started very well away from home recently. So, Kami 4-2, I would assume, is that a home win? I'm wanting whatever Williams on.
But I feel a wee bit of that as well. That's what I was saying earlier. Yeah, something. It's just I think that this team is a kind of team that he's never ever thought about putting together, and it's all of a sudden he's kind of pulled this out the sky, and I think that it's there might be something in there. I really, honestly, I think that it's just the squad and the fact that he's got two proper holding midfielders for a change. And we've got legs in there, we've got pace in there. So, do you know what? We'll wait and see. As I said, if Morelos turns up, right? I know there's big ifs, right? But if Morelos turns up, that we know the Morelos that can be, if he turns up, if Ryan Kent turns up, two massive players for us. All right, they've probably not done it for the best part of the season, realistically, but we know they're capable. So, as I said, the closer I get to the game, I'm feeling more positive. 15 minutes in, I might be hide behind a sofa, but do you know? I just feel something's a little bit different with this side tonight.
There's plenty giving us a goal tonight. I honestly thought there would be a lot more, but I think obviously with the heavy hitters not starting as much, Lee, I think they're giving us a little chance. I'm not saying they're giving us a big chance, but they're giving us some form of hope that we're going to score.
After seeing the team, mate, I'm a bit more confident. I think it could be both of what Mark was saying, where like it's a last roll of the dice, but we're also taking it back with how positive it was. I think Ross speaks about it all the time, where it's like, just what is it, throwing shit at the wall, hoping it sticks for Gio. I think he just is trying that week upon week now. I think it's probably his most positive, outcome of actually showing this. I'm not getting suckered in, this positivity though. I done it with Liverpool. I let myself get built up for it and then get pumped 7-1. So I'm not letting myself get suckered in. If we get a goal, mate, like I said, be delighted with it because it's the most informed team in Europe. We'll see what happens. If we get to 0-0 or we're drawn at half time, start to show a bit more belief. But I for what it's worth, I'm very happy with the team. I think it's probably the best team we could have put it.
Curry's currently still sitting on the toilet, but he's going 2-0 Rangers.
Yes.
Napoli put 6 past the team. We put 4 past us. Grim.
Put 4 past the team that put 7 past us. So
exactly. But no, there's plenty giving us a goal tonight, Mark, and I'm pleasantly surprised about that because I really didn't give us much of a chance. But of course, that was without knowing their lineup and seeing their heavy hitters all on the bench.
Do you think I've swayed a couple?
I think you have.
Some say I could sell fridges to Eskimos. That's all I'm saying.
No, there's plenty giving us goals. A goal, sorry. I'm not saying goal. But there's obviously it's probably quite split in the sense that there's folk giving us a goal, but there's folk giving us nil. Not getting a goal either. So it's a difficult one.
I get suckered into this, right? But I just in my head, right? I've just been suckered in where if we get a result tonight, but a draw, I'm going to put my neck in the line and say we'll beat Ajax to get into the Europa League.
Oh, he just went full crazy there, didn't you? You've just lost it.
Too much positivity in the chat, mate.
Aye, see, that's what happens. Yeah, it's contagious.
It is,
absolutely contagious.
You think you're sick of watching Rangers, mate, and then you do this pre-match and you get yourself, hyped up for it. And then in 2 hours, it's 7-1 to Liverpool and you go back to your bed.
I feel you're suicidal.
Maybe 60-42, certainly feeling confident. Ryan Kent turning up. Mark, you're breaking me. But
look, anything's possible, isn't it?
Absolutely. Mel, there will be a halftime show. The boss man's on at halftime with me and Mark, so he'll be hosting from then on. He'll be doing full time as well with me, Mark, and I think JD's on at full time, is he? So
I think I'm on and JD's on, I think, as well, with Martin and maybe another. You're on as well, yeah.
I'm on all night, yeah.
So we might all be crying into our microphones later on. So what the fuck was Mark talking about?
Yeah, but no, there is a halftime show, and then we'll have the full time, obviously, reaction after the game. There's 15 minutes, just under 15 minutes till kickoff. So I'd like to hope everybody enjoys the game as best as they can. And we shall see you at the halftime show. So thanks, Mark and Lee, for coming on for the pre-match. And let's just cross our fingers and hopefully we get a good result, folks. Cheers.
Olé.